you should see that there is a message, the library for ESL online students, spring 2021. Okay, now this page happens to be the page for the website that we are using for research. The address for this website, let me give this to you. Now I'm going to go to the address bar and I'm going to type in isgd/web library. Okay, no space at all. So once you have that and you press enter, you would get to this site. Okay, and it has everything that you need when you need to access our library. Okay, so you'll see as I scroll to the bottom, run into an issue or a question, right? As you're doing research, you can contact me, and I'll see if I can help you with your inquiry. So with that, let's introduce this website. You're going to see up on the top 3 steps. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. We're going to run step 1 just so that we talk about the most basic information that students need to know to access the library from home. Step 2, we are also going to go over today because there's a class page under step 2. Okay, and that is where we do much of this research. We're going to use the class page with a lot of the links and recommendations. Step 3 will be what you can do on your own. You'll see under step 3 for student resources, a lot of dictionaries, useful websites, and databases that would give you, job information, career information. If you want to learn about, what is the kind of employment in the market these days, you want to see, let's say, how much a certain job makes, right? Whether or not you need to have a certificate for that job. So all that you could make use of with something like this. And it is all under student resources. We're not going to have the time to go over step 3, but it is provided so that, on your own, if you want to take the time, you can discover, right, and see if, they would be useful to you. And of course, if as you are doing research, you find that certain resources are really helpful, but then you don't see them on this online library guide, you can always contact me and say, Wendy, you know what? I think it would be a good idea to add this to the library guide because I've been using it and I find that to be really helpful for students like me. So, that would be great. I'll, just put that into one of the pages here. So with that, let's get to step 1 for first-time users. I'm going to click on it. Okay. So again, it's a little slow, but it's going to load up a module. And once it's entirely loaded, you'll see, right? Library Basics for CLIP ESL students, spring 2021. Okay. So everyone is seeing that, right? I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm gonna turn on the module. Now, I want to make sure everyone understands this part because when we talk about accessing the library at home, we're referring to access codes that all of you must have. And you may not have the college ID cards, but when you first register for this class, right, the system that you use to register for the class, you will need to have an ample ID number, right? Because when we talk about access codes, these codes contain some of the digits of that ample ID number. Okay, and again, these access codes, they come from what we call the Cuny Login, okay, and it is a universal login. It is the login that every user from Cuny would have, right? And the login has the username and password. Again, when you first register for this class, you need to create an account, and the account is going to prompt you for, your first name, your last name, and as you see on the slide, the username, right, for this access code, it's referring to a composite of your first name, your last name, and then the last 2 digits of your ample ID number. So you may want to get back your, the form that you had when you first, again, registered for the class, right? Make sure you have all that information with you. In the days when everyone's on campus, we would solve this with just, your college ID. But since the campus is closed, maybe the way to get around it for a lot of people is without the college ID, you're still issued an ample ID number. So now we have the username, the password when you first create the account, it's whatever you've set. Okay, so only you would know. Does anyone have a question about that, or it's like any issues with this Cuny login? Okay.
I had explained that part, like they know that they need their what
Okay.
we call the Cuny ID number.
Okay. Now on the slide, if you're curious, why is there the Cuny login? And who else is using the Cuny login? You can click on this button. Still not sure? Click here for more information, right? Because at this point, when we go to a database, and we're not just talking about library systems, we're referring to for undergrads, for faculty, for your professors, everyone who has to get into a network, right? And for Cuny, it's running on the same login. So it is very much a universal login. All right, so let me just click to the next slide. Okay, so this is the part, right? Again, a repeat of the last slide, but it is now referring specifically to the library. Click on the link to an ebook, database, or anything electronic from the library outside the campus, and you will be automatically taken to a screen requesting for your Cuny login username and password. So you see on the left, right, this laptop that shows you a window. So when you click on, let's say, a link to a database that I will show you later, you will see a window like this. And this is where you put in that username and password that I've talked about. If you have issues with the password or any part of this login, right? You may, of course, talk to Professor Teter first. But if it is a really technical issue, you don't know what's going on, the department that administers this whole system is the IT department. And they do have a student help desk number. And here's the contact information for that. Okay, you can also click on a button, click for IT help desk here, right? So what it does is it would take you to their website, the IT website, where you can, get information about how technicians can help you. Okay, so this is the contact information for IT. Let's get to the next slide. Okay, so we have this library guide for student research, but it is not the library website. Okay, there is a library website that everyone, not just the students in the program, in the CLIP program, but everyone can access. And this website, right, you'll see right under step 2, library now. You see, oh, I just, do you see it now?
Yes,
or you're still waiting?
we do.
Yeah.
Does everyone see it?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. So you'll see, once you click on the link that gets you to the library website, the website itself looks very much like, this very slide that I'm showing you. So, on your own, once you come back to the library guide and you click on, the options on the left, right, in this gray area, you'll see with the pop-up exactly what that does on our library website. There's a lot on the library main page. Okay, we are not going to talk about all the different services, but you could make use of this slide later if you're curious. So now let's move on to the next slide. Okay, we don't have a lot, right, for this module. We end with library hours. Okay, the library is open all 7 days this spring. So don't think, oh, it's past 7. I don't know about calling the librarian. Just give us a try. Okay, send us an email, call the reference desk. We're here to help you, right? Again, my contact information is right below. Okay, and I especially during this time when most of us are at home, right, and you're trying to access these resources, there are definitely going to be questions. So we want to make sure that you guys are well handled. And that is the end of this module. So chiefly running this module, I just want students to remember the Cuny login, the username and password. Okay, so that's exactly what this is. And we're now going to go to that class page. And where's the class page? Again, it's under step 2, library now. As I said, the first link goes to the library website. The second one, you'll see CLIP Teter, that's Professor Teter, and the theme for the class, immigration, right? So I'm going to click to get to that class page. So it's loading up. Everyone is seeing the page now, online library research guide.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay. So let me scroll down and show you what this class page is about. Okay, so right under this heading, Spring 2021, Professor Teter, Introduction to Library Resources. And here's me again, the librarian with my contact information. You also have the reference desk number. So again, call us anytime. Okay, let's scroll down and you'll see the rest of the class page. The first section is on recommended databases. Okay, there are different databases that I'm recommending. And right under it, you'll see, the first tab, Global Issues in Context, right? If you go to the next tab, right, if you click on it, it gives you information about another database along with a tip for that database. There is one other database, the Mass Ultra School Edition, right? So 3 different databases under recommended databases. You have only to click on the tab to get into, the listing of these databases. Let's go down. The middle section is on recommended, I should get rid of books and just say recommended ebooks, because all the 6 books that you see, they are all electronic items. Okay, they are not books on the shelf. You don't have to worry about coming to the library looking for these items on the shelf. You don't have to return these items. You all have instant access to these books. And I will show you how to get into these books to make use of them later. Okay, so let's scroll down further. The bottom section, it has other sources. Use OneSearch to search across our databases. Okay, and you see a search box right here. So this is actually the library catalog, right? OneSearch is the name of the catalog at this point. And, here is where you input the keywords of anything that you're interested in looking up, right? I have here, you can type in Mexican Americans, Asian Americans, something like sweatshops and immigrants, and it's going to, load up the library catalog and then search through the results and find you all items related to the words that you have here. Oh, there's a typo. I forgot to enter your search terms here. I left out the H, right? So that's a little typo. And then also on the very bottom, you have these links. These are subject links, okay? And I found the subject links that are useful to what you guys are reading and what you guys will be doing on assignments for Professor Teter's class, right? And these subject links also connect to the OneSearch system, the library catalog. So rather than typing in your keywords, if you are interested in, let's say, looking up the history of immigrants in the United States, right? You can just click and it's going to get you into the library catalog and search items of that subject. Okay, so a little more convenient with these subject links. So now, just since I, touched on the different sections of the page, I kind of skipped over, this little green button, right? So for a lot of the students, when you're doing research, you may not know what to do, right? For this section, okay, she said to input the keywords, but what do I do after that? So this is a very short video. You can then just click right on the green button. It opens up a short YouTube video, about 2 to 3 minutes long, and it's going to tell you, okay, what you can do when you input the keywords, what's going to happen. Okay, and you will see the green button on each section. You see the books, right? If you click on it, it shows you a video tutorial on how to open the books, right? And there is also one for the databases. Okay. Is everyone okay? Does anyone have a question right now?
Thank you for making all this arrangement with all of the books.
Oh, it's okay, because this is this is an experience for me too, kind of adapting the technology to library sessions, especially now that we are in the remote access mode. So let's get started. Let's have a little fun. How do we make use of the class page? And the first thing we'll do is we're going to dive into a database. Okay, and the database I want to use is this one, the first tab, Global Issues in Context. So as I just click on the first tab, you see, right here is the link to the database, right? And there's a brief description of the database. And I have also a tip right under the database. It says, okay, you can input into the search box, certain keywords, okay, to help you. We're going to get into this database and see. I click on it, and you'll see now it takes you to a window that says off-campus access. It's a redirect, so give it a few more seconds. It's now going to bring us the window. Okay, I hope everyone remembers this window because we talked about it from the module, right? This is where you have to know your Cuny login, your username and password. I'm going to use my own. And then if everything is all right, I'm going to click on the login button, okay? And you'll see that it's going to take us into the database, the Gale Global Issues in Context. Now, this is a very useful database to learn about important issues for the whole world at this moment. Okay, let's bring us down to the database. And you'll see immediately, the COVID vaccination issue. And as we scroll down, you'll see different topic centers. Okay, so, and I immediately see, a few issues under the topic centers that apply to your assignment and what you've been reading about, right? First thing, right, I'm going to look under business and economy. Do you see sweatshops? Right, that's an issue. Under government, politics, and law, I see immigrants and immigration. I see under countries and territories, right? Some of the countries. So you can do all kinds of research with these topic centers. I'm going to make use of one of these issues, right? Since it's right in front of me. Under business and economy, there is sweatshops. I'm going to click on it. And again,
that's our next paper, our next ESLD paper.
Thank you. Perfect timing. Okay, so here is, right, as we scroll down, sweatshops. And it's still loading up, but you'll see from the very top, you have background information about sweatshops, right? Here is overview, right? If you want to continue reading this overview, you click on read more. But I want to make sure that everything's loaded, and it looks like it has. So now we have this gray area in the middle on this page. So what is available in the global issues in context? You see that there are a lot of these information categories, right? So what's included in this database? Okay, you have academic journals. Okay, you have multimedia images and videos. You have magazines, right? You have newspapers. You have references. A lot of stuff is included in this database for you to do research, right? You want to scroll down, right? Maybe it's a lot, okay? And you could look into some of the featured items of the different categories immediately. Or right? If I say, and I see some of these already, like, sweatshop conditions in the garment industry, right? This is from, I think, the newspaper of Viewpoints. Okay, so that's, a short essay. Let me just go back up, right? And say, hey, I want to look into some of the current magazine articles on um, sweatshops. Okay, after reading this overview, right, of sweatshops. And as you're looking at these articles, you can, search through the items, see if there's interesting items for you. Okay. And you notice that this database, because it's about global issues, the magazine articles would refer to, places all over the world, right? You may want to be more specific, right? Let's say I'm interested in sweatshop conditions where? Sweatshop conditions
In New York City?
in New York City, right? Let's see if there's any mention of New York, right? Among the magazine articles, the 268. So you see on the right side, filter your results, right? There is a search within. This is where you input, you could type in, right? Or you can type in women, immigrants, right? Or, anything that you want to search from within that category. So let's keep it at New York and see if there's anything, because, with 12,000 newspaper articles and so many items, you're not going to be just like looking at the entire listing item by item. So whatever makes research easier, make use of that tool. So about 40, okay, from I think 200 plus, it's come down to 40. So I don't know, right? Maybe, let's see. Maybe it was not specific enough, because when you say New York, it could mean a lot of things.
Maybe New York in quotations, perhaps?
That's right. Then I want to see, let's get into one of these articles and see how New York shows up, whether it's going to be broken out into the individual words. So I clicked on one of the items. It is a magazine article. Okay, and now I'm going to do a random search for New York. Okay, there you go. It shows up 4 times. This is from the New York Times. That's how it, and then, yep. Okay, so that was, it's just anything with New York. Now I have not, it is about the US, however, right? The story is about child labor in different parts of the country. Okay, and as I'm going over child labor in the US, right? So it's not that long. It looks like it's about maybe 2 or 3 pages. Okay, and here's the article again, the very top. I mean, does that sound like what you're looking for, right? Because a lot of times when you're searching for your item in the database, right, it's gonna be, as a first time, it takes a while to get a hit. And by a hit, I mean an article relevant to your topic, right? But once you find this item, let's say this is the item, and that this is about child labor. Usually on the side of the article, you're going to see some helpful features. Like if this is your article, you may want to read a few more related articles. Okay, and they're going to be related in terms of topic, right? And also the information category, right? It is going to be another newspaper article. And it may also provide you with additional subject links, right? So you may want to type in child labor or another way of spelling labor, right? Just so that you can grab more related items using these features. I also want to bring your attention to a couple of things on this website. The first, for CLIP students, this is really friendly to CLIP students. If you click on this loudspeaker, right? You can open this up, and you can now listen.
Working in tobacco fields. How a loophole in America's child labor laws allows young people to take dangerous jobs harvesting tobacco and other crops.
Okay. So you see how you can have you can have this.
Why are teens working?
Let me just pause that. Okay. And all this from this listen feature. You can also translate, right, to your language. This article, you can make it larger so that it's better to do your reading. So a lot of helpful features for the English learning student. Another thing to draw your attention to is up top, right? There is this button, right? It has a quotation mark, and the quotation mark is for creating the citation to this item. If I click on it, right, it has a pop-up of the article in the MLA citation format. So if Professor Teter wants you to find 2 articles having to do with, let's say, sweatshops, right? You may find one. This one is about, maybe the United States, not about New York. So let's say that you find an article, okay, about sweatshops in New York, right? And you want to include information from this article, in your essay you're writing for Professor Teter. He would ask you to provide a citation. And this is what we were referring to with the citation. What you're going to do is you're going to click on the select button, right, and do a copy and paste of this whole citation to your paper. Right, there's the last page of your paper, the works cited page. You're going to include that citation on the works cited page, right? So that Professor Teter knows, oh, okay, there you go. You got an article, right, in this database from this periodical, okay, and the title of the article is in the quotation marks, written by this author. So he knows exactly where you got this information from. So anytime that you're doing searching in a database, look for tools such as, you may not make use of the listen feature, but definitely the citation tool, okay, on the database interface. If it's a useful item, get the citation immediately so that you don't forget how you found the item. I want to go back to the results. Into, as I said, immigrants and immigration. There's a lot. Let's also try something like countries and territories. Okay. So now, if you want information about India, right? If you want information about Mexico, right? And then also China, right? Click on it. I'm going to use, let's say, Mexico. There we go. And you can do a search, a country profile search. Right, so immediately when you come in, okay, it's still loading up. As you see, there is again the overview of the country. You can click on the read more button as you come down, right? Again, the same information categories as they relate to the country Mexico. Now, I didn't do it before, but you see, right, there is a search box, very similar to, you know, the filter feature that we did. And, you know, I inputted New York, right, to do my search. But this search box does the same thing for all the items that you see in this gray area in the different information categories, right? There's so much about Mexico. What are you interested in, right? You can say, let's say you want to know about migrant workers or migrant families, right? Or immigrant children, right? From Mexico. And then, you know, the same sort of search you could do for China, India, right? And what does that do? It's gonna, let's just click on it. Immigrant children from Mexico. Now you're gonna see, right? Academic journal articles, newspapers, magazines, you know, multimedia having to do with immigrant children, Mexico. Right, so a good way to do research, and as it's loading up, you'll see some of the items from the different categories load. I think we are using just one, right? Academic journals. So if you are interested in, let's say, the newspapers, you can now click on that information category, and you'll see. Remember, we did that. So there's a lot, right, that we can do with database, with this database for the research for this assignment for your class, right? You can have all types of searching. You can search for the country. You can search for issues. And of course, you know, there is that search box up top, right? I went to the browsing of the different features, but if you want to know, let's say, Mexican, right? Let's say migrant workers, right? Migrants. You can type that in, right? Indian immigrants, right? You can type that in. Chinese, from the book that you're reading from Hong Kong, right? Type in Hong Kong. You see, right? You could use that search box too. Okay. So many different ways of using this database to do your searching. You can browse the different issues from home, or you can use the search box. And when you browse, be sure to make use of, you know, some of the filters to further help you, because there's going to be so much included in any search that you're doing. Okay. And again, to bring us back on the class page, we're just using that first database. Okay. Any questions about this database? Okay.
You know, it's a lot of information. I think just taking it in, I'm
Yeah,
going to be giving them opportunities to
to play
look
around
at
with
it.
that.
Yeah, play around with it in class or whatever.
Well, this is
Find
why
something.
I'm recording it, so that, you know, you can always come back to the recording and, you know, like, oh, she's done this, she's done that. Maybe I can try with my own keywords, This is where you actually play and, get to know the database with, depending on the book you're reading, right? You may want to type in, specifically an issue for, that you discuss for the class that day. So you can do that. We're going to, I don't want to, I'm thinking of whether I should just get into another database. It may be an overload of one section. Let's see, looking at the time, right? Let me get into, okay, I'll briefly run the second database. I'm not going to take as much time, but this is the Gale reference library, okay? And I also include a little tip, right? I want to, like shout out for this tool in the database that is really helpful. There is a video tutorial for using the tool too. If you just click on the green button, it shows you. So very briefly, let's just get into this database and see. Okay, this database is different from the first database. The first database has a lot of, you remember before, newspapers, magazines, multimedia, primary sources, just a whole bunch of information categories. This, okay, the Gale Virtual Reference Library is, think of it as, getting your background information on any topic, anything, that you're doing research for. So I suggested some items before under tip, right? Here is, it says Gale ebooks. I guess they changed the title slightly. How we get to the topic finder tool, you're gonna see the search box, right? If you type into the search box,
Assimilation.
Assimilation, okay.
Yeah, that's one of their topic, one of the essays they have written.
Okay, you could do a lot of things like acculturation, right? A lot of these, immigration. Okay, you can type in and you will see, okay, what is available from the different encyclopedias and references on that subject. However, there is a link. It is the advanced search link. If we click on it, it will take us to, okay, a few more search boxes. I don't want to confuse you with that, but you see right next to advanced search, there is additionally the topic finder tool, right? And I want students to see how they could use this. Okay, I'm going to click on the topic finder. Right, and here's the topic finder with the search box. Let's type in something like sweatshops. Okay, and as Professor Teter said, you can type in, any keyword. Okay, it doesn't have to be sweatshops. It could be assimilation, right? Acculturation, immigration. You can even type in Mexicans, okay, Indians, Chinese, right? Or Chinese immigrants. Any combination. I'm going to use sweatshops. Okay. And then I'll click on the search. And now you see, you see the information in two different ways. You can visualize as the tiles that we have here, right? It tells you, the proportion of, let's say, results, right? Having to do with your keyword by subject, okay? So
New York is a big one.
New York, let's see. I'm not seeing New York. Oh, okay, it's the second one. Okay. Now, there's another way. I'm going to change that to wheel. And I like the wheel a little more, right? Because you actually see it as a pie, right? And Professor Teter said New York, sweatshops, right? Now, let us just, you can go into the finer area, New York City, within New York, you see? Or sweatshops having to do with New York immigrants. You can go as fine as that. But if I just want to, like, let's say, look into sweatshops in New York, right? You see, maybe the working conditions of sweatshops, right? Or, you know, some of the other areas. You see how we can do it, right? I'm going to go to, let's say, New York, sweatshops. And once I click here, notice on the right side, the results show up. Okay, and these are all links. Garment industry, right? I'm looking at everything and I'm gonna see garment industry, sweatshops, New York. Let's see what it's about. Now this one, this entry is from this encyclopedia, the Encyclopedia of American Immigration. Okay, so let's just come down. And here it is, right? Let's see how long it is. Early labor organization. So a little history, right? Back in the century. Renewal of the garment industry, it must be, you know, later on, post-war. Yep. Decline of the garment industry, right? Globalization, and further reading. You see, it's not that long, right? It's about, again, maybe 3 to 4 pages long. And I remember like increasing the size of the text. So, you know, at this point, let me just make it smaller so I could see more of the page. So you get, again, background information on New York, right? Sweatshops. And again, you know, I talked about features that help you once you find, you know, a useful item, right? And the features are usually somewhere on the screen. And again, with this database, it's on the right side. You may be interested in reading about these additional items, right? Immigrants, clothing industry instead of garment industry, foreign labor, right? And you may want to, you know, go into some of the other items. And not to mention at the very bottom of this item, right? They also have something like the see also links. You see, Asian immigrants, Chinese family associations, women immigrants, right? And a specific union, right? Garment workers union for sweatshops, New York City. So if you click on any of these, right, you can get information about that, right? Now let's come back. I want to get the citation, okay, to this article having to do with the garment industry. Okay, let's get the citation out of the way. Here's my quotation mark, right? I click on the quotation mark up top, and here is the citation. I'm gonna select it, copy, and paste into the Word document for Professor Teter. Okay, so that would be my second item, right? You see how different this database is from the first one? The first one shows you additional information categories, newspapers, journal articles, you know, some videos, a lot of other things. This one would bring you to a lot of the different encyclopedias having to do with any topic. You know, we were not able to do the searching as well in the first database, but here in this database, we found information about sweatshops in New York. You know, how specific is that, right? So you may want to come in here first, grab all the, you know, the information about the topics that you're interested in, right? And then move on to that first database and see if you could find, you know, like some newspaper articles, right? Maybe one newspaper article or one magazine article having to do with that item. And that would be, you know, a good, online research project, right? Find a couple of sources for your assignment. Okay. And here is, again, the database that we just used, the Gale Virtual Reference Library, okay, and the Global Issues in Context. So you know, these two databases, perfect for the assignments in your class. You can do all types of searching. As I have the tips, you know, you could input these keywords, you could input your own keywords. So everyone okay? Anyone with a question about the database, any of the two databases? Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of information, you know, but
It is.
yeah, so we're being exposed to it today, and then in the next couple of days, we'll play around with it
Okay.
so that people can get used to it and look at it and find something that they want.
I say definitely the databases are the playgrounds. You can, you know, do all sorts of searching, and you know, you're going to get and those two databases are user friendly. You know, as I, you know, showed you before, a lot of nifty features to help you find stuff, right, and to better the reading experience. I mean, we remember the listen feature, right? The font size, you can customize the look. We now come down to some of the books, the ebooks that I have, right? And I want to show you how to get into an ebook, right? You may want to use a book instead of a database. You can do that, right? I'm gonna, let's say, open this first one, Asian American History and Culture, an Encyclopedia, right? You click on it. It's still loading the rest of the page, but directly under the title, there is a description in green, okay? Available online. If you see this description for a book or anything that you're searching in the library catalog, right? Right under the title for that item, if you see this green description, let's click, it goes to the page. It's in the Kingsborough collection. And this is the link for that collection. To open the book, you click on the collection link. We have instant access because the item is, remember what it said, right? Available online in green. So whenever you see that, it means you have instant access. So what is this book about? Let's come down, right? And the table of contents, right? Here is the Asian American Experience, History, Culture, and Scholarship. Let's scroll down further. You have the Chinese American Experience. You have the Indian American Experience. You can always, you know, click to show the subsections, right? And you see Chinatown, New York City, right? For the Chinese American Experience. Let's get into this this area. If I'm interested, I click.
Just 3 pages.
It's not a lot, right? It's just 3 pages specifically about the New York City Chinatown. So you could go into the other Chinatowns in that chapter. So Chinatowns in New York City. Now, here's the book, right, on the right side. And the same chapter links on the left, right? You can go into your other areas too. You see all the different groups of people. I think that there was one for Indian, right? So if you want to get into the Indian American experience, but let's say you got here to get at this page. I'm now going to get rid of the side panel to do my reading, right? And there is a little more customization that I usually like to do. I want to make it larger. There we go, so that it feels better reading this. This is the New York City Chinatown a century ago, right? And here it is. It's 3 pages long, not too long. 1943 to the present, what the Chinatown has been like. So nice to do a little research about the Chinatown here, right? If you use this. And there is one for San Francisco too. So you see, here is an ebook, different, definitely different from the database. This is how I would do my reading, okay, with the ebook. It's right in front of me. And I do have to maybe play around a little bit with the customization. I can read it. I can also, maybe, you know, for this time around, we don't have to talk about, you know, the PDF. But, you know, some students, if they have a certain book they really love to read, but they don't want to read on the screen like this because they want to carry, you know, that book as a PDF on some other, maybe on a tablet to do their reading offline. You can do that, right? So now I can, if I click on PDF, it's going to say, hey, current chapter, right? Download the current chapter. Okay, so maybe this is the one on Chinese Americans. It's going to download the chapter as a PDF. And now you could do whatever you want with that file. So you could do it this way. To come back to the library catalog with that record, right, for this first book. Okay, I want to show you, okay, see, this is the link that we use to get to the book, right? But I skipped over the section, the toolbar, right? All these different tools. And then there is the same quotation mark. You see this quotation mark? If I click on it, it now produces the citation for the book, right, in MLA. Okay, so now what I do is I copy the citation, just like the database, right? I copied the citation and I paste it. I paste it into your the Word document. And here is my third source or my first source. Okay, I'm going to be using information from this book because I talked about the Chinatown in New York City. Okay, you know, I refer to specific information about the Chinatown here. So I want to be sure that Professor Teter knows that I used the book, right? So I provide the citation to the book. So that's how I would do it if I have to get the citation for the book. And you can do it with any of the other books here. Okay, so all these relate to your reading. Okay, I'm gonna go into something like, let's see, Encyclopedia of Multicultural Psychology. Okay, you, very briefly, I'm not gonna, I don't think I have enough time to get into every item that I recommend on the class page, but just so that you kind of get the flow of how you know, use an ebook. Here is the second ebook. That tells me this is instant access. And here is the book collection with access to this one book. It's Gale again. So when I see Gale, I know that it's a platform that you guys are familiar with because you saw the couple of databases from before. Now here is an ebook. How do I make use of this ebook? You could do it this way. You can open up, click on the expand icon to open that section, right? And then just like before with the chapter links, you can, you know, click on any of these, right? Bicultural or bilingual education, bilingualism, biracial identity, right? You could click on any of these, but I like to use for the Gale platform, the book index feature, right? It is so much like the search box at this point, the search box that everyone's well familiar with, right? So here's the search box. And what it does is rather than to show you the chapters and the links, you tell me what you're interested in. And I'm going to find out where, if any, you know, the areas in this encyclopedia you can make use of. So I suggest, you know, when you see the search box, you can type in Mexican, right? You can type in Chinese, right? You can type in, I think for Indian, it would be Asian, right, for this book. I'm going to try Mexican first, just Mexican. And now let's come down to the results, right? And you see a lot from this encyclopedia. Mexican Americans, look at the finer categories. Acculturation, right? Let's go down further. Education, employment, right? Families, immigrants. There's a lot of the subcategories, right? And then, of course, you know, more, right? Mexican Americans. You also have the see alsos, Hispanic Americans. So if you're interested in social factors, right, and Mexicans, you can now just click on the page link in Americans, ethnic identity. So as you're reading the book, right, which allows you to know how one character feels, somebody who is Latin, right, or Mexican, right, how he feels. Now we're going to use that character to correspond to, let's say, people like him, other Mexicans, Mexican immigrants. And if you see, you know, as a group, this is information about the group, okay, as one relates to the others, right? It is a pretty long entry. Age, immigration, generational status, language, education. You know, here is background for employment, health, and healthcare for the population. Okay, so you know about the key demographics. It's a pretty long entry. Okay, so that's what you can do with book index for this ebook. And, you know, as far as the citation, you know, you remember the cite button. It is the Gale platform. You can do it this way, right? Click on the cite, or you know, you could do the citation button on the record as well. Here it is. Okay, so a lot of tools to help you do research. Okay, so we just opened 2 books, right? The first and the second. And you will see getting into the other books here, right, will be the same, right? A lot of times, depending on the platform, you may be dealing with looking at the chapters in links, or if it's something like the second book where, you know, it's on the Gale platform, you can use the book index to do searching, right? To do more specific searching. So depending on, you know, this is a pretty big class with a lot of students. Everyone has their own way of doing research. You can open up any of the books, whichever one you're interested for your assignment. Any questions about books?
No.
Okay. So lastly is the library catalog with the search box on the class page. It is, at this point, I have a feeling it's going to be an information overload, as Professor Teter said. There is so much. I mean, there is so much on any one item on the class page for you to do research, right? I mean, for your assignments, many of you may be just using the database, and that would be fine, right? The global issues and context, that would be enough, right? Maybe if you choose to use the Gale virtual reference library, that would be enough. And maybe some of you would want to read the book, right? And you can, you know, choose the first book or any of the others here in this section. That would be fine, right? And I only include the search box so that, you know, as a way, if you are curious, all right, the library has just a lot of other databases, a lot of other items, okay, aside from what I'm just recommending on this class page. And if you want to see what other items there are, you know, just think of yourself, let's say you are the undergrad and you are doing a major research project and the professor wants you to write maybe 10 or more pages, right, for this project. You're going to need a lot more sources than maybe 1 or 2 for an essay, right? You may need to have 20 you know, sources. So in this situation, the search box for the library catalog will, you know, see if there are those items for you. You're going to do a lot more online research than just a database or a book. Okay, and in that situation, you may want to put in, here's the search box, and you could, you know, I have here the search terms, but sweatshops and New York, right? Let's say I'm interested in sweatshops in New York, right? If you click, okay. So far, results are 18,000 plus. Okay, so as I said, a lot of results. But only if you're, you know, doing a major research project. Okay, otherwise, wow, you know, how do I begin my research? So you can dive into the very first item, right? One after the other. You could do research that way. It's the brute force method, right? You just go one after the other from the list, or make use of the filters. And here the filters are on the left. Okay, so let's say I want the available online items. Okay, these are items that I have instant access for. And if I want them, I'm going to make sure I select full text online, right? And you notice, okay, there is another category. It says currently on shelf. Okay, that's a useful item to know because, you know, the library is closed, right? Anything that's on the shelf in the building, you have no access to right now because you cannot get there. So if I don't want to include these items from the list of results, I want to be sure to, you see, exclude currently on shelf items. Okay, I'm going to click on that. And now I'm going to apply my filters. So let's see from the original listing. Okay, the numbers come down slightly. It's now a little lower, but still it's pretty large number, 18,000. All right, I'm still gonna just scroll down because, with so much item, wait, hold on. There we go. Okay. There is just so much on this listing. I'm going to say, I'm not really interested in sweatshops in New York from 1900, as early as that. I want to see what's been happening. So maybe 75, right? Or maybe 1990, right? Let's look at the more recent. In fact, if there's anything about sweatshops in New York from the last 10 years. Okay, let's see. Who knows? Right, since it includes a lot of the articles. So 18,000 plus items. Okay, out of poverty sweatshops in the global economy. Okay, this is from the Global Labor Journal. It is a journal article. Let's say, this is again different from the book. Remember, we used the library catalog to open a couple of books. Here, we're going to do an article. We're going to have access to this. Here is available online. And here are the collections or databases, right? If you you can click on either one because they both have access to this article. The tools, right? If you end up using this article, you can click on citation to produce the citation for the article. Here it is. Now you can copy and paste, right? And additionally, different from the book search, if that one article is what you need and you want to find more related items from the library catalog, you see on the side, just like the database, except think of the library catalog as a grand database containing all the smaller databases and collections. Okay, so it's a lot, you see? Right, all this on the very bottom of your class page with this very simple search box. Okay, so a lot of stuff right here on this one class page. 3 different sections, the bottom section for the library catalog, the middle section for your books, and the top section with the databases. And you, as a class, you can choose to go into any one of these to play around to see how you can make use of these items for research for any assignment. Any questions from anyone, the students? I mean, how are you feeling about the recommendations? Do the students feel that they have a certain item in mind that they want to use?
They've got a couple of choices. They're going to work with either the different, the assimilation, there's the homesickness, and there's sweatshops. So
those keywords, you can type those keywords into the Gale virtual reference library immediately, and you could see all those entries having to do with, you're going to get a lot of help in that database for items like that. So yeah, like definitely I recommend using the databases first. I don't know, a lot of, sorry about that.
Okay.
We've gone all over?
I think, we're going to be practicing with this a little bit in class so that they can feel more comfortable. But,
okay.
but thank you for your time and all the organization